Okay, so the Dragonfly frame, which is the TBS Discovery, flies very badly. It doesn't work with the SuperX. So I have two choices. One is to transplant another flight controller into the chassis and tear out all the OSD and all of the main controller, flight controller, and replumb it with like a NASA or a Taro, XYZ or something like that. Or the other is to transplant the dead cat components into another chassis. And so that's what I've decided to do. So the Dragonfly is going to go away. And I've gone with a really old frame, which was produced by Emax, which is called an Aphid 450. So it's 450 if you use small arms, and I'm going to be using the long arms. So instead of a dead cat, which the SuperX cannot fly, I'm going to substitute with an X. So if you look at the actual frame plates, they're a true X. So right through the middle. So we're going to lay the flight controller right down there, right in the middle of the chassis. It has a smaller footprint than the TBS. So we're going to have to be space conscious. It's going to be a tighter build, and we're not going to be able to put a battery in the frame because it's a smaller frame. And as crammed in there as everything is right now, and let me just say that everything is as crammed in there as you can possibly get. I'm going to do even more cramming with this. I don't have a lot of blue left, and they've got a special nose with a camera that comes with this. It's actually a tilt mechanism. It's a one-dimensional gimbal, but my reviews of this camera are that it's a very poor camera. And so what I think I'm going to end up doing is putting a different cam on there. I might keep this plate, I might not use it, who knows. It's a space hog. It's weighty. I don't know if I'm going to be using that. So that's in the equation. Another part of the equation is the battery. So I want to fly a 5200. Well, 5200 is not going to fit in the chassis. So that means somehow it's going to have to be mounted below the chassis. And you can see that's a pretty sizable piece. So, however, it's probably going to get suspended. Solid mount, but suspended. And the reason for it is just because of space. I'm already pressed for space, and I'm mounting it back in an OSD on the base of the TBS. So I have smaller compartment room, and if I have to sacrifice anything, I'll sacrifice this blue cabling. But yeah, this is a bit of work. So that's our next, or at least one of our next projects. So I'm going to disassemble this thing here and see whether or not I can get an idea whether or not this is going to be possible. I got all kinds of questions on whether or not I can mount things to the roof or not. I don't know what this is going to look like, but hopefully the components will transfer. Yeah, right now it's not looking too good for space considerations alone, but I'm going to go for it because the XAircraft software cannot fly the dead cat. And I've tried and tried and tried, and my last flight was my last flight with this thing. I'm done. So there might be an update someplace, who knows. Hopefully I get this done, but yeah, no more dead cat. And we're gonna fly a shape of a frame that the XAircraft can fly. And these extensions, these are the AimdroiX extended arms, are the same dimension as the stock arms. And this chassis right here is roughly the same measurements as the original X650 Pro, the XAircraft X650 Pro. So if I can get the components in there, I believe there's a high degree of success. This is a really poor carbon fiber. This is not 3K. You know, this is not really high quality carbon fiber. But in stark contrast, actually, this cheap Chinese kit is nice carbon fiber. But you work with what you got. So that's it. Probably update somewhere along the line, who knows. Okay, update. So we stripped apart the old frame and we had a bunch of parts left over from that. Got an OSD, a back, a video transmitter, and a cam. But the base components are on board. So we have the GPS mount, we have the cables, we have the L9R and antenna, we have the guts of the build, the flight controller, and the central module, both mounted. We've got the LED mounted, but there's not a lot of room. Somehow I've got to get a video transmitter on there, and I'm not sure where I'm going to put the cam. I might use a different cam and mount it on the roof, because I'd like to put in something like a solid mount GoPro, something on the front, something that maybe gimbal ultimately, but for right now. Anyway, the old plates, nice, bigger, much bigger than the new ones. But you know, I expanded some of these, the size of the width of some of these holes, so I could put some of the cabling through. And I've got, it looks like a couple of, and this is like, you know, a typical connector here that I need to get through. But it looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes, and I still got a sticky tape, you know, as you can see, this is just like crooked in there, but this is just fit to see whether or not this looks like it'll work. And let me just kind of pan out here. It's an X. So, you know, I'll go into the SuperX settings and I'll change it to an X format. But that's it. Somehow I got to get all of those components on the undercarriage and wired through to the middle. But you know, we got a few extra pieces over here and various things scattered around, but you know, the guts are in place and it looks like it might work. So I'll probably pop in, do another update at some point or other, and but for right now things look pretty good. The arms are put back in the same order, so the OSC is not going to know the difference. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all wired up correctly, and you know, all these I just taped them off in a group, and I'm going to be able to plug that straight in to 1 through 7 PWM on the L9R. But that's it. That's the deal. And I'll update later once I've got some more progress. So, update. A few more things done to it, a few more decisions made. GPS mount. Oops, sorry about that. GPS mount firmly to this little pedestal at the top, which came with the kit. Decided to swap out the board cam for a regular external cam. This is a TBS 00, which is a piece of junk, so I'm going to have to buy a real cam, but you know, I'll just swap it out when I do. Then trying to figure out how to get components in the chassis, and I don't know if this is going to work or not, but and actually light's real bad here, so you're not going to be able to see this at all. But on the bottom we have the actual flight controller, which is near the back and not near the middle of the chassis where it should be. And I've got no experience putting that except for maybe on the TBS it was in the back. And that flew badly, but I've seen some comments, but the middle of the chassis is here, and I'm putting the flight controller here, and I'm putting the main controller here. But this is where I've got it, and then I've got an OSD on the side, and I've got a BEC on the other side, and a ton of cables that I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with yet. And there was no room in the chassis for a battery, so I had to fabricate my own. This battery's going dead here, but essentially I built a pedestal on the bottom, which is firmly mounted with hardware, and the battery's going to go right there, and it's a really nice fit. So the battery's going to sit directly on the bottom. Anyway, another design idea, and that's about it. Everything else is coming along. Trying to make room inside the chassis, but I'm at the point now where I've just got to figure out where to put this video transmitter, and it's a big thing, and I think it's probably going to be a casualty. I'm probably going to put some sort of a small variant, you know, of a TS58 or something like that. someplace up front. There's some room up here in the chassis up front. Not that you can see that, but there is. And if I can't find a way of getting this beast on there, then I'll get a more reasonable sized video transmitter and put it there instead. I've got a IARC 600, I could use that. I've got a couple other video transmitters. I got a UBAD 200, I got a few other transmitters, but that's it. Updates when they come, but that's it for right now. We're getting closer. Lashed everything down with connectors. Things are pretty solid. This isn't going anywhere unless I get into a really serious accident. The feet are pretty good. You can see it's pretty modular. Anyway, that's it for right now. There's going to be a place for a cam. I just found these pieces. I'm not going to use the cam that came with it, but there's going to be some pieces that come out the front just like this, and there's going to be an anchor point right there, and there is a place to put a camera. So when I'm done, we'll be having the video camera out front, the one that shoots the footage, our little GoPro Hero. Anyway, that's it. Even though I say that's it, it's usually not often it, but that's it.